Okay, now if you haven't heard of a roux, R-O-U-X, roux is a thickener. It's half flour and half oil, or half fat. In this case, I'm using vegetable oil. A French roux, half butter, half flour, and it's a very light-colored roux used for making sauces and gravies. The Cajun Roux that we're going to put in gumbo, etouffees, it's a whole different deal. You're looking for a darker color, and it's something that needs to be whisked constantly. Trust me, you cannot walk away from a roux. Let me show you how to make this. Start with 1 cup of vegetable oil. And once that vegetable oil is hot, I'm going to start whisking in 1 cup of flour. Now, a lot of Cajun chefs use a little bit more than a cup of flour, use a little bit more flour than oil. But the key thing here is that you whisk as you go, and you'll notice the color changes in the roux as it gets darker. You want to get somewhere between, say, peanut butter and mahogany color. If you burn your roux, if you get little specks of black in there, you've ruined it, you got to start over. If you don't cook it enough, you're going to have something that tastes very much like raw flour, which doesn't taste good in a gumbo. All right, into this hot oil here, just dump all the flour in at once and start whisking. Keep in mind that hot roux is like lava. It can get up to 500 degrees if you've got a high BTU burner as you're making your roux. And if you think about it, if you take hot lava and you get it on your arms or on your face or anywhere, it's going to burn. So be very, very careful as you make your roux. I have this on medium-high to high heat. Now, one of the cool things about roux is that you can make roux ahead of time. You don't have to wait until your guests get here while you're sitting there whisking. And if you do, this is a good job. It's kind of like making risotto. You got to have the risotto person constantly stirring this stuff. You can make it ahead, cover it up, put it in the refrigerator for about a week. And you can also freeze it. You can take roux and freeze it in batches. What you don't want to do is take really hot roux and add it to a really hot sauce. It just won't thicken and it'll separate. What I like to do is I like my roux to get to room temperature before I add it to warm sauce, and you add it a little bit at a time. And we're gaining on a light peanut butter color here, heading into the mahogany territory. Once again, if you burn it, if it smells bad, if your roux turns black, you got to start over. Best part about it is really all you're going to be out is a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of vegetable oil and some flour. And there's also other ways to thicken gumbo. Okra is a natural thickener. Fresh okra works great as a natural thickener, and filet powder. And there are several schools of thought on whether you use one or both or everything you can get your hands on. If it still doesn't thicken your gumbo, if your roux isn't happening, you can always add a little equal part cornstarch and cold water, and that will thicken also. Oh my. Now this is starting to smell, starting to get the smell of that cooked flour. And if I go too much farther, right now I have to really, really be careful, because once this roux goes if it starts getting darker faster, then I got to go. I got to get this pan off the heat and get the roux out of the pan. We're in peanut butter territory now. All right, we're getting to it. This is good enough for me. I can feel it just starting to stick to the pan. You can go a little darker than this, but you really have to be careful. This is a fine Cajun roux. The color is perfect. Just whatever you do, don't burn your roux.